People often ask me, Warren, how did you make your first million? And I usually smile, because the truth is, it wasn't fancy, it wasn't fast, and it wasn't something anyone couldn't do. When I was 20 years old, I was worth less than the price of a used car today. By the time I turned 30, I was a millionaire. Same fellow, same town, no magic, no lottery ticket. What changed? Just a handful of habits, some discipline, and a whole lot of patience. When I was a kid growing up in Omaha, I was always looking for ways to make a buck. I collected soda bottles for the deposit, sold chewing gum, and delivered newspapers. My favorite was selling Coca-Cola bottles. I'd buy a six-pack for 25 cents and sell each bottle for a nickel. That gave me a small profit, just a few pennies. But those pennies taught me something important. Money is like a seed. You don't eat the seed, you plant it. And if you're patient, that seed grows into a tree. I didn't know the fancy word back then, but I was learning about compounding. Now let me tell you about my very first stock. I was 11 years old. I bought 3 shares of City Service Preferred at $38 each. The stock fell to 27, and I got scared. I didn't like losing money, so when it bounced back to 40, I sold it. Thought I'd been clever. Not long after, the stock shot up to 200. That stung. But it taught me one of the most valuable lessons of my life. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the impatient to the patient. I learned that lesson for less than $100. It's been worth billions to me. By my 20s, I had discovered my real classroom wasn't school, it was the library. I read everything I could find about business, money, and investing. Then I came across a book that changed my life, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Ben taught me that investing isn't about predicting the future or chasing hot tips. It's about buying something for less than it's worth and then giving it time. Think of it like going to the grocery store. If you find your favorite cereal on sale, you buy more. You don't run from the store because prices dropped. Stocks should be no different. I was so inspired by Graham that I hopped on a train from Omaha to New York just to meet him. That meeting changed the course of my life. He later became my teacher, my mentor, and my boss. Sometimes the best investment you can ever make isn't in the stock market, it's in yourself. Learning, reading, keeping your mind open, that's what sets the foundation for everything else. Now, let's fast forward a bit. In the 1962nd, I made one of the biggest mistakes of my career buying Berkshire Hathaway. Back then, it was a struggling textile mill. I thought I could make a quick profit. Well, I was wrong. But here's the funny thing. Instead of selling and moving on, I used Berkshire as a vehicle to buy other businesses. Insurance, railroads, utilities, candy companies, consumer goods, piece by piece. We turned a failing textile business into one of the most successful companies in history. The lesson? Don't let one mistake define you. If you stay flexible, a failure can turn into the best decision you ever made. Speaking of businesses, let me tell you about Coca-Cola again years later. In the late 1982nd, we invested heavily in Coke. People thought I was crazy. They said, why would you buy a boring soda company when all these shiny new tech stocks are popping up? But here's the thing, I wasn't looking for shiny, I was looking for reliable. Coca-Cola has one of the most powerful brands on earth. People drank it 100 years ago, they're drinking it today, and they'll probably be drinking it 100 years from now. That one investment has earned Berkshire Hathaway billions. Sometimes the best opportunities are sitting right in front of you, plain as day, while everyone else is chasing fads. Now, folks come up to me today and say, Warren, what do you think about artificial intelligence, crypto, fractional investing, online businesses? And I always tell them, the tools may be new, but the principles are the same. Spend less than you earn, invest in what you understand, be patient, and let time do its magic. Take crypto, for example. Some people call it digital gold. And sure, a few people make money trading it, but I always ask myself, does it produce anything? Does it generate cash flow? Because if it doesn't, it's speculation, not investing. Compare that to a business like Apple. Apple makes products people love. It generates profits. It pays dividends. That's the kind of investment I want to own. Now, I'm not saying you can't dabble, but don't confuse gambling with investing. There's a difference. AI is another one. No question, it's powerful. It'll change industries and reshape how people work. But at the end of the day, it's still a tool. The real value will come from businesses that use AI to better serve their customers and operate more efficiently. If you invest in businesses like that, you'll be fine. The names and tools may change, but human behavior doesn't. People will always want convenience, trust, and value. You know, one of the smartest financial decisions I ever made had nothing to do with the stock market, with buying a house. I live in the same home in Omaha that I bought in 1958 for $31,000. Now, I could have bought a bigger one, I could have filled it with fancy things, but I didn't, because I knew every dollar I saved could be put to work, compounding for me. That's a lesson anyone can apply, no matter where they start from. Compounding really is the eighth wonder of the world. Imagine you've got a snowball. You roll it down a hill, and at first it's small, but the longer it rolls, the bigger it gets. That's what compounding is. Your money earns a little. Then the earnings themselves start earning. Over time, it's almost magical. My fortune wasn't built on brilliant trades or secret knowledge. It was built on letting a snowball roll for 80 years. So what does this mean for you? Maybe you're starting an online business. Maybe you're putting aside a little each month into an index fund. Maybe you're buying fractional shares of a stock. Whatever it is, the rules don't change. Live below your means. Invest in what you understand. Be patient, and never underestimate the power of time. Another story for you. In the late 1992, everyone was caught up in the dot-com boom. Stocks were doubling overnight. People told me I was old-fashioned, missing the future. But I stuck to what I understood. A few years later, many of those companies vanished. You don't need to swing at every pitch that comes your way. Wait for the one right in your sweet spot. And when it comes, swing hard. There's another principle I hold dear, reputation. It takes a lifetime to build and a second to lose. In business and in life, trust is everything. I built Berkshire not just on numbers, but on relationships with people I trust and who trust me. Doesn't matter if you're running a railroad or launching an AI startup, that principle never goes out of style. Now, maybe you're wondering, how do I even get started? Here's the truth. The first million is the hardest. Harder than the second, harder than the 10th. But once you cross that line, you'll see it isn't about luck, it isn't about timing, and it isn't about genius. It's about habits, patience. That snowball rolling down the hill, I was worth less than a used car at 20. By 30, I was a millionaire. Not because I was the smartest guy in the room, but because I respected the power of time, avoided silly mistakes, and stayed disciplined when everyone else was chasing shortcuts. You can do the same. Remember this, money is a tool, it's not a scorecard. If you use it wisely, it buys you freedom. If you waste it, it ends up controlling you. Plant your seeds, let them grow. And one day you'll look back and realize you've built more than wealth, you've built independence, peace of mind, and a life on your own terms. If there's one thing I hope you take from me, it's this. The secret to my first million, and every million after that, wasn't luck, wasn't timing, and it wasn't genius. It was patience, discipline, and a snowball rolling down a hill. Start your snowball today.